Mr. President, members of the Board of Regents, members of the faculty, staff, and students, especially the students of Morgan State University freshman class of 2025. Good morning and welcome to the 2021 Matriculation Convocation, Morgan State University. We are very pleased to have you with us this morning as we mark the official beginning of the 2021-2022 academic year. We continue to navigate the unprecedented challenges. However, nothing, not even a global pandemic, can prevent us from pressing forward in our quest of growing the future and leading the world. Be fully persuaded that Morgan State University is committed to taking all necessary steps to safeguard the health and well-being of its students, faculty, and staff. Please continue to abide by the guidance and protocols put in place by our healthcare officials to ensure our safety. It is so important that we take care of one another. Let me begin with a reminder to our students, especially our new freshmen. On Thursdays from 11 to 1, we observe University Hour at Morgan. There are no classes scheduled, or should be no classes, during this 2-hour time period. This gives us the opportunity to set aside time for this and other important convocation, which freshmen and sophomores are required to attend. So this morning, we shall begin our program with the invocation that Minister Clarence Wayman of the Morgan State University Memorial Chapel, followed by soloist DJ Knight from the world-renowned Morgan State University Choir under the direction of Dr. Eric Conway. Ms. Knight will perform God Bless America. Morgan State University stands in solidarity with the nation as we commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We remember the lives lost on that fateful day and the sacrifices of our brave men and women in uniform that continue to keep us safe. Minister Wayman.
I bring you greetings on behalf of Reverend Dr. Bernard Keels, the entire staff and chaplains at the Morgan State University Memorial Chapel. Let us pray. Our Lord and our God, creator of all things, maker of heaven and earth, we give you thanks for your many manifold blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. And God, we thank you for new opportunities and higher heights. We ask, dear Lord, that you would bless the incoming freshmen with great aspirations, with the excitement that comes from expectations. We ask, God, that you would pour out the power of your Spirit to anoint and make anew, to commit and devote to the excellence here at Morgan State University. God, we ask that you continue to bless the faculty and the staff and the leadership that will guide us through this time, make easy the way. And God, we're claiming victory even right now, that as we celebrate the high number of enrollment, just, dear Lord, as you would not want to lose any that is in our care, we are claiming now that everyone that has come through this door will leave with a diploma. But God, we're praying that you would order our steps, bless the minds, help to sustain and provide, dedicate to the mission at hand. And God, we ask that you would pour out your love upon us, that we would show love one to the other, increase our capacity to be patient, tolerant, and help us to persevere and not be annoyed when we see conflict, not lose focus when there is disturbance, but God, hold on to your unchanging hand. Help us to look inside, for God, that is where your spirit lives. We are the temple, and God, help us to lift up our temple unto you, that we will live lives giving you honor. Thank you, God, for this opportunity to strive, to press towards the mark of the high calling, because you have called us out of darkness, because you have chosen us for such a time as this. We give you praise. Thank you, God, for grace. Bless us, lead us, guide us, and direct us according to your will, living by your purpose. O great Creator, amen.
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 Solos is going to
Thank you, Mr. Wayman.
go.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we lift our voices in this solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. America, God bless America.
Thank you, Ms. Knight, for such a beautiful voice and beautiful song. Please be seated. Before we begin, I want to give special recognition to a member of our Board of Regents who has joined us this morning, our student regent, Nicole Brown. Regent Brown is a native of Howard County, Maryland, and the oldest of her 3 siblings. She's a senior accounting major in the O.G. Graves School of Business and Management. Regent Brown is both a Graves Honor student and a student of the Clara Allen Honors College. She is a 3rd generation Morgan Bear, an active member of the Morgan community. Regent Brown serves Morgan in a myriad of capacities to include resident assistant in the Office of Resident Life, Student Government Association senator, and a fellow of the President's Leadership Circle. She's also a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the National Association of Black Accountants, and Beta Alpha Psi Honor Society. In addition, Regent Brown serves her community by serving those in need at the local food bank and clothing center. To support her academic development and career objectives, she was selected for an intern with several top accounting firms. Most recently, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Regent Brown plans to pursue licensure as a certified public accountant, or CPA, after graduation. Please join me in welcoming one of Morgan's most transformative student leaders, Regent Nicole Brown.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. So thank you, Provost Yu, for those kind words. On behalf of Chairman Nfume and the Morgan State University Board of Regents, I would like to first extend my thanks to President Wilson, Provost Yu, and the faculty and staff present today for giving me this opportunity to address you all. And most importantly, I would like to welcome our returning classes of 2022, any seniors? Woo, come on, deuce, yes. 2023, any juniors? Okay. 2024, any freshmen? Okay, y'all not here. And our newest freshman class of 2025. Let me hear y'all, yes. I am so grateful to be standing here in front of you all today in person. As I'm sure many of you can relate, I've been anxiously waiting for the day when we get to return to the illustrious Morgan State University. With that being said, I want to, for hopefully the last time, have us reflect for a moment on what we went through during these past 18 months. Let's take a look back and think about what we learned. What did you learn about yourself, about the people around you, and even your environment? For some background on me that you already heard, I am the oldest of three, and this past 18 months was the longest time I had spent at home since I graduated from high school almost 4 years ago. And it was funny that I forgot how deeply my brother can get on my nerves, and somehow I missed my little sister's transformation into becoming the mini version of me. And just like pretty much everyone here, I woke up every day, opened my laptop, signed into Zoom, and looked at a screen for hours upon end. And that lasted for 2 weeks, which turned into 4 weeks, which turned into a year, and now I'm a senior. My final reflection revolves around 2 of our 6 core values here at Morgan State University: integrity and innovation. As a community, it is imperative that we uphold these values as we make our way through our new normal, this year and in the future. Because the only way we will continue to be successful here at Morgan is if we adopt an attitude of change. To our hardworking professors, you have the opportunity to completely transform a student's life. Every day, young, bright, and eager students will walk through your classroom doors or sign into your virtual classrooms for the very first time. From now until December, you are one of the most consistent faces they will see, and it is your responsibility to do all you can to ensure once they leave, they have gotten what they needed to be a better thinker, a better student, and a better person than the one they were when they first entered. This is no small task, but it is the job that needs to be done and should be done with change in mind. College as it was pre-COVID-19 no longer applies, and we all have to refine the way we work with change in mind. To my fellow students, you too have an amazing opportunity in front of you. If this is your first time on campus, take it all in. Make it your mission to create the version of yourself that you will be most proud of once you reach the finish line, even if that takes a little longer than you had hoped. Have a curious mind. Everyone here has a story, and you never know what you will learn from someone. So ask your professors questions. Ask the faculty and staff questions. Ask the guy that sits in the front of your math class who speaks to no one a question, because you never know who you will need in your network one day. If this is not your first time on campus, make the most of the time you have left. Let's be honest, we were robbed of some very pivotal moments, but that is in the past. So now make it a point to do what you were not able to do before. I love Morgan, and I love Morgan students. So if in May, when I'm walking across the stage, someone comes up to me and says that they were disappointed in the way that this year went, I will be heartbroken, especially if it is because they didn't put themselves out there to receive that all Morgan has to offer. So when I was writing this in my head, I said I wasn't going to be up here for very long, and I want to stay true to that. So I would like to thank you all for allowing me to speak to you this morning, and I hope you all have a fantastic academic year. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Brown, for your uplifting remarks. So I talked with her briefly before this. We wish you have exemplary students like her, all of us. So for those of us who have watched and witnessed American higher education for the past 20 years, and for those of us who have been Morgan for the last 10 years, our convocation speaker for this morning needs no introduction. He is a terrific American educator who has a long and remarkable record of accomplishments and well over 30 years of experience in higher education, administration, and leadership. He earned a BSc degree in political science Yes, political science. And a master's degree in education from Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama. A Master of Education degree in Education Planning and Administration from Harvard University. And a doctorate in Education degree in Administration, Planning, and Social Policy, also from Harvard University. He has held a number of important posts in higher education, including Vice President for University Outreach and Associate Provost at Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama. Associate Provost at Rutgers University, the State University of New Jersey, and Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin Colleges and University of Wisconsin Extension, which was his immediate position prior to come to Morgan. He has authored 2 books, more than 20 articles in scholarly journals, and has received many honors for his scholarship and administrative leadership, including being named one of the nation's top 100 leaders in higher education by the American Association of Higher Education. Since coming to Morgan on July 1, 2010, our speaker has established an extraordinary record of success, including record enrollment for freshmen this year. Give him a hand, record enrollment. And receipt of the university's largest research contract and grant, the launch of major initiative to improve customer service, continual improvement of the technology infrastructure on campus, introduction of Morgan's first online degree programs, significant expansion of study abroad opportunities for Morgan students, an exponential increase in international students at Morgan, and new construction on campus valued at approximately $1 billion. What is most remarkable about our convocation speaker is not just his outstanding record of achievement, but also the character that he has brought to the presidency at Morgan State, a character shaped by the intangibles of his background. He grew up with 10 siblings on a sharecropper farm outside of the small town of McKinney, Alabama. And through hard work, tenacity, and the encouragement of his father and teachers, he became the first person in his family to attend and graduate from college. Like me, I was the first person graduate from college in my family. Ever reminded of his humble beginnings and the aid given to him along the way, he is a president who has an unwavering devotion to student success and student welfare. He is strongly committed to openness, transparency, and fairness that lets all of our students now know from the beginning that at Morgan, their lives matter. He comes to you this morning as one who considers his work at Morgan not a job, but as a calling. His steady and thoughtful leadership in face of the unparalleled challenges brought on by the coronavirus pandemic has only added to exceptional legacy of success at Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, and members of the freshman class, please join me in welcoming Morgan's 10th inaugurated president, Dr. David K. Wilson, to deliver the 2021 Matriculation Convocation address. Dr. Wilson.
Thank you very much, Provost Yu. Good morning to all members of the Morgan State University family. I want to express my appreciation to Regent McCall Brown, who is here representing the Morgan State University Board of Regents. And I would like to say to all of the members of the Board of Regents who are unable to join us physically, but who are virtually, to our faculty and administrators emeriti, to all of our faculty and staff, to our students, to our alumni, and the many supporters of Morgan State University spread across the globe, we welcome you to our annual Matriculation Convocation. This year, we have a change of venue for this annual ritual. Normally, we would be assembled in the Murphy Fine Arts Center, the Gilliam Concert Hall to be exact, but because of repairs being made to that incredible facility, this morning we are assembled here all masked up in the Talmadge L. Hill Fieldhouse on our campus. We welcome those of you who are assembled here this morning physically, and we welcome the thousands of others who are joining us by way of live streaming. Throughout much of the history of this great university, the Matriculation Convocation has signaled the official beginning of the academic year. On this sacred and solemn occasion, the entire university family comes together as one to decree the inception of yet another chapter in the impressive legacy of our national treasure, Morgan State University. I want to welcome back those Morganites who are returning to continue their academic journeys, and also welcome the new additions to the Morgan family. I use occasions like this one to acquaint you with the uniqueness of this precious university, to inform you of the state of the university, and then to give you sound guidance about maximizing your opportunities for success here at Morgan. And so, please join me in welcoming our new freshman class, the class of 2025. And also join me in welcoming the freshmores, or the class of 2024, as both of these classes begin their induction into Morgan State University. This year's Matriculation Convocation and freshman class are quite distinctive. This is the first time in the 154-year history of this institution where we are reuniting after having been apart for so long. Under regular circumstances, we are only apart from one another during the summer recess. But on today, we have gathered for really the first in-person ritualistic ceremony since we abruptly left this campus in March of 2020. So on this occasion, I will refrain from delivering the customary Matriculation Convocation address that many of you have heard from me over the years, for indeed the times in which we are now living are far, far from customary. In the last 19 months, We have faced some of the most challenging times the human race has ever encountered, and we're not done yet. Class of 2024 and class of 2025, your young eyes have seen so much, much, much too much. I know they have seen much more than they were prepared to see at this early stage in your lives. When the books are written on this era in our history, I think they will call this period one that utterly tested our ability as human beings to live in a civilized society. I think it will be a period that has tested our ability to believe in science. I think it will be written about as a period that has really tested us to uphold democratic principles and ideals, the foundation upon which this country was erected. I think it will be a period written about that will talk about how we have struggled to reckon with the sins of racism and its lingering negative effects that has led to so much inequity and social and economic inequality. I think history will call this period where America and the majority of the world have not, if you will, come up to the plate and hit a home run. I think the period would call what America and the vast majority of the world are doing as one where we're not paying adequate attention to climate change, that we are not paying adequate attention to the proliferation of unjust laws from the state level all the way to the Supreme Court. I think this era will stand alone as the most pivotal moment in the history of the human race. But I'm here this morning to tell you that you should feel extremely proud today, for you have looked unimaginable, destructive, and evil forces straight in the eyes, and you were not deterred from your goal of pursuing your dreams and ultimately matriculating here at Morgan State University. Your Morgan family is so proud of you, and let your presence here today serve as a reminder of the fortitude and the resolve that you possess that should forever equip you to achieve in the midst of any adversity. You know, in the last 19 months, we saw so much that I wish, that we collectively wish, we could just simply erase from our memory. What are some of these things that we saw? Well, we saw a woman's life taken from her while she merely attempted to get a good night's sleep in her own home. We saw a jogger hunted like an animal and shot down in the street merely because he wanted to go for a run. We saw a life extinguished in a street gutter in 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We saw a rebellious and violent mob storm the steps of our U.S. Capitol in an attempt to disrupt our democracy and overturn a free and fair presidential election. We saw the inception and rapid spread of a virus that thus far has claimed more than 4.6 million lives, over 635,000 lives in the United States alone. We saw the collapse of a condominium which stole the lives of its residents while they slept. We saw unparalleled wildfires, earthquakes, and hurricanes. We saw the deadly conclusion of America's longest war. Morganites, we saw hurt. We saw pain. We saw hopelessness. We saw helplessness. My Morgan family, we saw and experienced frustration. We saw anger. We saw and felt hate. We saw bigotry. We saw blatant racism. And we saw senseless, deadly violence. But my dear and beloved Morgan family, I'm here this morning to once again scream to you, bellow to you, that even with all that we have seen and experienced, there are additional unseen dangers that may beset us after having lived so long under the shadows of distress and duress. The inherent danger that I'm talking about is that after all of this is behind us, some of us, if we're not careful, will continue to hold on to yesterday. Some of us will make the costly mistake of accepting what I'm calling temporarily challenging times as quote unquote our permanent new normal. But let me be clear, I do not accept that notion. And I challenge all of you not to accept it either. My message to you today is quite simple. Yes, we will always understand our past, but let's not live our lives there. You must never, ever, ever stop thinking about tomorrow. Let me be clear. I think that many of our recent adjustments to this challenging time, in my view, are temporary responses to what I argue are temporary challenges. These times that we are currently living in will not last forever. Our lives will and must go on. So it is very important for you to prepare for tomorrow. It is important for you to see your time here at this institution as one to prepare yourselves for what is around the corner. You know, Helen Keller once said something like the following. She said, the one thing that I absolutely despise is a person with 20/20 eyesight, but no vision. And so I want you to use your time here at Morgan to do more than just have a 20/20 eyesight. I want you to equip yourselves with the tools to not only be able to just see straight ahead, but to be able to see around the corner. That's what we mean here at Morgan when we say we are growing the future. That's you, young people, that we are growing. And what are we growing you for? What are we growing you to do? We are growing you to lead this world. So don't ever, ever, ever stop thinking about tomorrow. Now, right now, I know it may seem difficult to believe, but the day will soon come when all of this will be behind us. Soon and very soon, if we do all that we are being asked to do by our public health officials, I think we'll be in a position to look back on this virus in the same manner that history now looks upon mumps and measles and smallpox and chickenpox and cholera and tuberculosis and polio and syphilis and AIDS and countless other public health crises that the human race did what? Face, conquered, and then appropriately place them behind us. Today, we would consider it absolutely ridiculous. Yes, the president of Morgan is using the word ridiculous. We would consider it absolutely ridiculous for someone to give up on their future ambitions because of the threat of measles. One would simply and unceremoniously do what? Get vaccinated, move forward with their life. And so I'm convinced that this too will soon be the case with COVID. Yes, I follow the science, my dear friends, and I implore you to do likewise. I see that the coronavirus can become a distant, powerless memory, but we must all do the right thing. We must get vaccinated, and we must encourage all of our family members and our friends to do the same thing. Don't, if you will, be hoodwinked by all of the foolishness sometimes that you can get from the internet. You are Morgan students. You're here to use your head to do more than to keep your ears apart. The pandemic will eventually have its appropriate pages in our history and science textbooks, as well as in our medical journals. But we must continue to be resilient, both mentally and physically. And we must embrace the strategies before us in order to make sure that the virus will not rob us of our tomorrows. A pandemic-free tomorrow is on the horizon, and you need to prepare for it. And so don't ever stop thinking about tomorrow. During this pandemic, several terms have dominated the news coverage and social line media and other platforms, terms that, quite frankly, I had never used before. The use of these terms has become synonymous with our safety and survival. Terms like masking, contactless, contact tracing, and social distancing have all but overwhelmed every aspect of our daily lives. Here at Morgan, we start this school year with masks and vaccination mandates. Very early on in this pandemic, the scientific data made it abundantly clear that wearing masks or masking was the key to slowly and stopping the spread of the virus. Now, while the need for masking became essential to our physical health and safety, as president of this state's largest HBCU, and as a Black man who, as Provost Hughes indicated, had grown up in rural Alabama and had experienced all of the scourges of racism, I began to analyze masking metaphorically. Now, masking or wearing masks has historically held duplicitous meanings for people of color. So when healthcare authorities and our own public health officials here on campus encouraged masking, I never wavered. I grabbed my mask and I put it on. However, as a liberal arts educated person with a degree in political science, who had taken many courses in Black poetry, as I donned that mask, I must admit, I immediately reflected on Paul Laurence Dunbar's poem, "We Wear the Mask," which he penned in 1895. And it goes as follows. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. Paul Laurence Dunbar. Now, throughout the African American diaspora, people of color have been accustomed to wearing this metaphorical mask, not the physical mask, the metaphorical mask. And we've been accustomed to wearing this metaphorical mask to protect and maintain our mental our emotional and our physical health and safety from those who wish to harm us or those who wanted to block our aspirations. Masking has enabled us to disguise our true feelings in times of trouble and uncertainty until we reach safe spaces, which permitted then this kind of true and uncensored expression. Morgan is your safe. It's your safe space. We want you to understand that mask, whether metaphorical or physical, alter the wearer's appearance and hide the wearer's identity. Understand that this altering of your appearance should only be temporary. Whether you are navigating the racial injustices that Dunbar wrote about or the public health crisis we face today, masking is a tool for addressing temporary challenges. Masking in a metaphorical sense should not become a permanent part of your life. Do not let this pandemic permanently alter your dreams. Don't let it stop you from thinking about your tomorrow. That's the metaphorical piece. Before this pandemic began, you were brilliant. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today. I want you to continue to bathe yourself every single day in brilliance on this campus. So when the time comes for you to take the mask off, and that time will come, that you are fully prepared to lead this world out of so many crevices. Morgan, again, is your safe space to grow. It's your safe place to blossom. And I implore you to take advantage of everything, as Regent Brown indicated to you, that you need to take advantage of at this national treasure, the only full college campus in the entire United States that is a national treasure. Take full advantage of it, and you will be prepared to dance on the world stage with anyone when you come across this stage and get your Morgan degree. Before this pandemic began, your future was bright but promise. I want you to continue to hold fast to that, to have a bright future when it is time to take our mask off. Before this pandemic began, you knew that your life had purpose. I want you to continue to live a purpose-driven life when it is time to take the mask off. Remember that masking is what? A temporary response to a temporary problem. And the day will come when it is time to take your mask off and move forward with your life maskless. And I don't want you to ever stop thinking about that day. Now, like masking, contactless is another overused word that has inundated our world. This adjective is used to modify so much of our lives today. Contactless describes everything almost we do now: food delivery, doctor's appointments, physical therapy, grocery shopping, ticket purchasing, bill payments. Countless other life activities. To remain safe, I understand this. We have all adapted to avoid physical human contact as much as possible. We understand that the less physical contact we have with one another, the more likely we are to remain safe. Early on, many of us began even wearing latex surgical gloves. Shaking hands gave way to fist and elbow bumps. Many preferred and opted to no contact at all when greeting each other. Plexiglass, plastic partitions, and shields all of a sudden sprang up everywhere, providing safety barriers which prevented us from making physical contact with one another. Some of us, even today, we wore and still wear face shields in addition to our mask. Morgan Spring 2021 commencement exercises were the first in which I had to forego the honor of congratulatory handshakes with the graduates. The undergraduate degree candidates missed Morgan's time-honored tradition of hooding their classmates. Simply stated, in complying with safety protocols, our contactless lives have ushered in almost everything online. They have ushered in an online environment when and wherever possible. The online environment has become primary setting in which we now live and we now function. Few of us, I'm the first to attest to this, can get through the day without several hours on Zoom or Google Meets or some other online platforms. Many of us have celebrated birthdays and anniversaries and family reunions and even funerals online. I celebrated 3. My oldest brother's funeral, my nephew's funeral, and my sister-in-law's funeral online. Please be assured, like masking, contactless living, I think, is a temporary response to this temporary challenge. Don't you get too used to contactless living. Don't plan on making contactless living a permanent part of your life. Don't lose contact with your dreams. Don't lose contact with your destiny. Don't lose contact with your potential for greatness. Don't you ever stop thinking about tomorrow. And so, social distancing, another one of those terms, coined and came into prominence during the pandemic. In March 2020, when we began this fight, we were informed that we should maintain at least 6 feet of distance from one another. And almost overnight, directional signs and stickers appeared everywhere. But of course, they're all on the campus now, and we're providing guidance on where it is to stand. And under the guise of social distancing, chairs and tables vanished from our favorite restaurants. Many discontinued indoor dining altogether and transitioned to carry-out and delivery only. The aisles of our markets and grocery stores became strictly enforced one-way thoroughfares. Many of us, like members of the class of 2024 and 2025, we hosted and attended drive-through graduation celebrations. Graduates received these well wishes at their homes. Family, loved ones, and friends of yours drove by blowing their horns with balloons and signs and other fanfare and celebratory displays. Social distancing protocols denied so many of you your well-earned right to walk across that high school stage and receive your high school diploma. It robbed you of your last goodbyes to your classmates and your teachers. Birthdays, weddings, family reunions, funerals, as I indicated, have all been socially distanced because of COVID. But we have creatively adapted to make the best of our current yet temporary circumstances. But please be clear that social distancing should not become a permanent aspect of how you live your lives. Don't get too comfortable with social distancing. Don't distance yourself from your future success. Don't distance yourself from the family, the loved ones, the friends whose support has pushed and encouraged your life's journey. Don't distance yourself from the strength, the resilience, perseverance that you have discovered within you to make it to this point. Don't you ever stop thinking about your tomorrow. Now, when I think about our collective recovery from these challenging times, and I think about tomorrow, I'm reminded of Morgan's inspirational journey as I bring my remarks to a close. Today, this institution, the national treasure, sits majestically on 185 acres of land, adorned with some of the world's most beautiful architectural structures, and boasts an enrollment of nearly 9,000 of the world's brightest students. However, many of you would find it difficult to fathom, difficult to believe, that in 1881, what was then Morgan College consisted of just one very modest building that stood in West Baltimore at the corner of Edmondson and Fulton Avenues. The total enrollment was 136 students. But in 1907, Morgan College president, Dr. John Oakley Spencer, who would go on to serve 35 years as president of this institution, the longest serving president in Morgan's history. It was in 1907 that President Spencer, and we have a building here named after him, he in 1907 secured $50,000 from one of the world's wealthiest men to expand Morgan College campus. President Spencer convinced industrialist Andrew Carnegie that Morgan College had an abundant tomorrow on the horizon that was worthy of his investment. And so Morganites, please understand that thinking about tomorrow in 1907 was not an easy or even logical thing to do. In 1907, Morgan was the only institution in the state of Maryland that offered an opportunity for persons of color to earn liberal arts degrees. The other institutions were either vocational or teacher training. Morgan was the only one. The accepted belief at that time was that, guess what? People who looked like you in the majority, people who looked like me, the accepted belief was that we did not possess the mental capacities capable of pursuing degrees in the liberal arts. Supposedly, that warped and racist thinking at the time was that academic pursuits in the liberal arts, for us, was intellectually out of reach and virtually impossible endeavors for persons of color. And we were told that we were better suited for vocational training. But President Spencer rejected this premise as he thought about tomorrow. I implore you to have the same vision for yourselves today as President Spencer had for each and every one of us 114 years ago. Although he would not live to meet any of us, he somehow knew that we were coming to Morgan, and he prepared Morgan for our arrival. He never stopped thinking about tomorrow. And so understand that from 1907, when he secured that $50,000 investment, it took him 10 long years before he was able to get the next building. It was a very arduous and stony road over those 10 years, but he never stopped thinking about tomorrow. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this period in our history, let me just give you some brief context. In April of 1917, President Woodrow Wilson went before a joint session of Congress to request a declaration of war against Germany. And then 2 days later, the US Senate voted in support of that measure, and then the House eventually voted, and the United States then officially entered World War I in 1917. And World War I would ultimately claim an estimated 16 million lives. However, before that war would end, the Spanish flu pandemic would take center stage around the world. From January 1918 to December 1920, the Spanish flu claimed approximately 675,000 American lives, and 50 million people died around the world. Initially, troops and civilians in Europe contacted the virus in the spring of 1918, and in the fall, the disease resurfaced and was far more deadly. Sounds familiar? Well, the world's leading scientists and doctors and public health officials were unprepared and struggled to fight the disease, which moved rapidly around the world. Some died within hours of their first symptoms, others lasted days, but 25% of the global population was infected. Within months, the virus had claimed more lives than any other illness in the history of the human race. And so while in the midst of World War I and a global pandemic, these two incredible world events unfolding quickly, what was President Spencer doing as he was leading Morgan through a World War I and a great pandemic. He was thinking about tomorrow. There could not have been more unfavorable circumstances in which to expand this institution. There were so many who lived through this time who believed that there would absolutely be no tomorrow. They were convinced that when all this was combined, with the combined impact of the war and the pandemic, that the human race, they believed, would ultimately be destroyed. But aren't we all so thankful today that President John Oakley Spencer thought about tomorrow? And so on today, I encourage each of you to stand with me. I encourage you to stand with me. I encourage you to embrace the faith and the vision of what President Spencer embraced when he too led the institution during his time through the great flu pandemic of 1918. And I urge you that as you stand, that you think about the tomorrow for you and for Morgan. I believe that President Spencer regularly looks down upon this campus from the portals of heaven. And I believe that he is indeed excited about the Northwood Shopping Center. I think he's excited about the new Thurgood Marshall Tower. I think he is excited because today is the tomorrow that he never stopped thinking about more than 114 years ago. And as you walk this sacred campus, look around you. Every turn, there are major construction projects on the way. The beautiful state-of-the-art Tyler Hall welcomed you back to campus as you transacted your university business. Let this new construction serve as concrete evidence that we believe in tomorrow and that there's indeed a tomorrow. And so class of 2025, you're the largest class, freshman class in our 154-year history. And do you know why? Because there is a tomorrow. And you see that. And we see it in you. In these last 19 months, all of us have lost someone special. I would urge you that if you have, to carry their memory with you into tomorrow. They too, I'm sure, stand with President Spencer. They too are looking down upon you from the heavens with great pride. They too want you to have a bright and prosperous tomorrow. They want you to fulfill the dreams that perhaps many of them were unable to fulfill themselves. Understand, my fellow Morganites, that their physical presence, if you've lost someone, does not negate their spiritual presence. Be assured that there is a tomorrow where you will walk across the stage and receive your degree. And when you do that, I want you to carry across that stage their spirit and their memories in your hearts. You should find it overwhelmingly inspiring to consider that more than 114 years ago, President Spencer and countless others were thinking about you. They were thinking about your potential for success before you were even a thought. Like President Spencer, I have not, will never, ever stop thinking about and preparing you and this institution for the tomorrows that I know I will never see. I work as hard as I do as your president because your tomorrow is worth it. I'm inspired by the limitless potential in each and every one of you. I have and will not ever stop, Morganites, thinking about tomorrow. So follow the Morgan legacy. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Have a great, great academic year.
I used to think that I could not go on, and life was nothing but an old song. But now I know the meaning of true love. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. If I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I believe I can fly. See, I was on the verge of breaking down. Sometimes silence can seem so loud. There are miracles in life I must achieve. But first I know it starts inside of me. If I can see it, then I believe it. If I just do it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. 'Cause I believe in you. Oh, if I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see you running through that open door. I believe I can fly. 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 I believe.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Washington. So before I move on, I want to correct myself about the mask use. So I took my mask off, not unknowingly in the situation. I want to apologize to everyone that it's not the way to do it, whether in the classroom or in a gathering. So now I have a mask on. It looks proper now, right? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us this morning as we officially kick off the 2021-2022 academic year. I wish everyone a great success. So we now have the benediction from Minister Kearns Wayman, which will be followed by the singing of the alma mater, which will be led by Mr. Washington again, under the direction of Dr. Conway.
Now unto God, who is able to keep us, protect us, and provide for us, who is able to do for us exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever ask or think, to the only wise God, be dominion, power, glory forever. Amen.
Fair Morgan, we love thee, so tried and so true. Our hearts at thy name thrill with pride. We owe thee allegiance, we pledge thee our faith, a faith that will ever abide. We pledge thee our love, we pledge thee our faith, whatever the future may bring. And thus our devotion, fidelity to, and homage we pay as we sing. Fair Morgan, as onward the years quickly fly, and thou livest in memory sweet. We bring thee our laurels, whatever they be, and lay them with joy at thy feet. We pledge thee our love, we pledge thee our faith, whatever the future may bring. And thus our devotion, fidelity to, and homage we pay as we sing.